Way back in the 1980s, secret government employees.
Hey everybody, Sol here. I have only one rule here. If it's animated, I'll comment on it. There is an issue that troubles many countries throughout the world and their people. One that raises issues about religious ideals, maintaining human dignity, and other ethical implications that have divided many a scholar and many a common man. I am of course referring to the act of human cloning. On one hand, cloning cells and organs could help save sick and dying people, but on the other hand, cloning fully sentient beings does raise issues about ideals and identity and concerning all of our collective purposes here on this big blue rock we call planet Earth. And there's a piece of media that tells the story of clones of famous historical figures who attend high school and try to find their way in the world while being watched by a secret government facility who wish to harness their special talents for use in militaristic strategies. I am of course referring to this manga series here called After School Charisma, which follows the stories of these clones as they try to find their way in the world. It's a very good story and definitely worth checking out. I'm going to read an excerpt from Chapter 1, if you would please. Oh, what's this? Let's see. A cartoon about clones of famous historical figures who attend high school and are secretly being watched by the government so they can harness their talents for use in militaristic strategies. Well, fuck reading then, because this is actually animated, so let's talk about this instead. Clone High. Now let me take but a moment of your time to talk a little history, okay? Alright? So, Clone High is a 13-episode Canadian-American animated series that was created by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, and it aired on Teletoon in 2002 before later debuting on MTV, which sparked a controversy in India involving the depiction of the character Mahatma Gandhi, which led to the early cancellation of the series, as well as low ratings. Oh damn, another series killed before its time by lack of interest, because I'm sure there were just so many better things to watch at the time. But anyway, that's enough beating around the bushes for today. I've had my fun, so let's have more fun as we take a look at Clone High. I know I kinda just explained the plot in my overly drawn-out joke back there, but just for the hell of it, let me summarize again. In the town of Exclamation, USA, there is a high school populated by the clones of famous historical figures. The series follows Abraham Lincoln, Joan of Arc, JFK, Mahatma Gandhi, and Cleopatra as they work their way through the throes of teen angst, sexual urges, peer pressure, and trying to live up to the achievements of their clone predecessors. Behind the innocuous school setting, however, a secret board of shadowy figures watches the clones' every move, training and educating them so that they can use their special talents and traits to help the military, though their work is impeded by the school's eccentric principal, Cinnamon Scudworth, who has his own agenda for the clones, and his robot butler, Mr. Butlertron, aka Mr. B. Now then, let me make this abundantly clear right away. For a cartoon, this is a great premise. It opens up so many possibilities for stories and scenarios, and luckily, the show does take those opportunities whenever they show up, allowing for some great parodies of teen drama shows and after-school specials, such as by calling every episode a very special episode and having frequent celebrity guests. All the little touches in the plot, and the scenarios, and the execution make it all that much more better. But you know what would make that even more better? The characters! Alright, now if you're a history buff, you may want to cover your ears and go la 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 for the next, I don't know, 3 minutes or so, because I'm about to spew so many historical inaccuracies that you'll probably develop an aneurysm for everything I'm about to say. So you guys ready? Okay, don't say I didn't warn you, history buffs. I'm not getting any of your medical bills. While there is no protagonist in this series per se, the one with the most focus is Abraham Lincoln, otherwise known as Abe. Abe is a naive and awkward teen who tries his hardest to live up to the accomplishments of his clone father, though his timid personality makes him feel like a failure. Abe has an intense crush on Cleopatra and is completely oblivious to his best friend Joan of Arc's affections. All I can say about Abe is just that he's... well... Okay, fine, he's adorable. His naivety and ineptitude only serve to endear him to me because he's clearly trying his hardest to be a good person and live with a positive attitude, despite being shackled with the role of a great leader that he can't live up to. You can tell all of Abe's efforts come from a good place, sort of like Wander from Wander Over Yonder, or Arthur from Arthur Christmas, and he certainly is one who can wriggle into a special place in your heart. Next there's Joan of Arc, who is, by her own admission, a cynical, angst-ridden goth girl. Joan is deeply in love with Abe, and relentlessly tries to make her affection known, but she's constantly rebuffed due to Abe's oblivious nature. While Joan is probably the most stereotypical of the clones, I still like her a lot. She definitely has some of the funniest lines in the show, as she has a more sarcastic and pessimistic outlook on life, contrasting Abe's upbeat attitude. Next up is Mahatma Gandhi, or just Gandhi, who is Abe's best friend, and, divergent from his real-world counterpart, is not a solemn practitioner of nonviolent resistance, but rather a loud, spastic party animal with a jerky exterior and a heart of gold. Gandhi is the main comic relief of the show, and spends most of his screen time running the gamut between giggle-worthy and balls-out hilarious. Now, Gandhi's portrayal was a huge contributor to the early cancellation of the series, when hundreds of people in India staged a hunger strike in protest of his depiction. And I don't mean to offend anyone's sensibilities here, that's not my intention at all, but don't take this the wrong way when I say this, but Gandhi is fucking hilarious. I can understand why people would find his depiction insulting, totally, I get it. But in my eyes, he's great fun, and he's hilarious, which so many other characters struggle with in other things, so to me, I just take that as a win. There's also JFK, who's a macho, womanizing jock who only thinks about getting sexy tail and recording his holiday albums. Even though JFK is a total asshole for the majority of the series, he's not at all intolerable. You get this feeling he's only acting the way he does to compensate for the fact that his foster parents are extremely gay, and it makes him a little more relatable that way, in that his asshole tendencies aren't completely set in stone, like most characters with similar traits. And bringing up the rear is Cleopatra, an arrogant, vain, and very well-endowed cheerleader who expects the world to bow at her feet due to her perfection. Just like with JFK, Cleo should be a horrible person, but she's sometimes capable of seeing beyond her own hubris, such as when she starts dating Abe despite his low popularity, making her much more tolerable than others who share her traits. Lastly, there's the principal of Clone High, Cinnamon J. Scudworth, an odd man who looks to go behind the board of shadowy figures' back by making his own amusement park populated by the clones called Cloney Island. But beyond that, Scudworth has a bit of an unstable personality, as in sometimes he appears to act with turgid superiority, while other times he collapses into a pit of despair, which makes him extremely fun to watch. Scudworth is just, for lack of a better word, tit-meltingly hilarious, and has some of the funniest moments in any cartoon I've ever seen. Wow, hey, look at that, I'm actually talking about something with good characters! Certainly been a while since I've done that, right? But I'm starting to drag a little bit here, so let's move on to what makes this series good. And again, for the first time in a long time, I actually have a lot to say here. You know, all this talk of clones has gotten me curious to see if I could do something along those lines. I mean, after all, I can teleport, I can make things explode, and I can conjure up pure concentrated balls of history. So let's see if I can clone myself. Ugh. I guess it didn't work. Oh well, better luck next time. Now, I think I'm gonna indulge myself a little here and gush about this series, because God knows it's been a while since I've been able to do that. First off, the absolute best thing about this series is its humor. There are few cartoons out there nowadays that can boast such colon-bustingly good humor, with great delivery, memorable lines, and being able to take what should be a deeper, more serious subject, and just turning it completely on its head. The way the characters interact with and play off one another is so amusing and refreshing, being comparable to something like Gravity Falls or Rick and Morty. So, if you know the humor of those shows, you'll know what I'm talking about. Also, design-wise, I find the way this series looks to be very appealing. Yes, it leans more towards the simplistic side, but that helps accentuate the characters' actions and dialogue more so than if everything was overdeveloped. The creators specifically cited cartoons from the 90s as their inspiration for the overall design, such as the Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Laboratory, and most strongly Samurai Jack, and it definitely shows. But just in general terms, this series has a very... well, it's hard to qualify exactly what it is, but it just has this thing about it that draws you in, even without sheer depth of story, design, or character. It just has this strong, undeniable charm to it that allows you to watch it either casually, just enjoying the jokes and characters, or deeply, letting you appreciate the effort put into all the parodies of high school dramas, the simple designs, and the overall quality. I can't think of many shows that do this without being too heavy-handed in at least one of those qualities. Well said. Thanks. Don't you think that's a little too sappy? What do you mean? Well, I mean, nobody thinks it's funny when you like stuff. Well, nobody cares what you think. Me. Oh, okay. Well, if you think you're so good at this, why don't you tell everybody what makes this series bad? Alright then. I accept your challenge. You think you're really tough, don't you? Well, you should know, eh? You're me. No, you're me! Can't we all just get along? Fuck off! To be perfectly honest, I got almost nothing to say here. Nothing really sticks out as being overly negative with this series. At least, nothing that wouldn't require ridiculous amounts of nitpicking. However, there is one aspect of this series that is overwhelmingly negative. And that is that it not only ended way before its time, but it also ended on a goddamn cliffhanger. I can't even tell you how much I hate that, and there is very little chance of this series ever making a return in any way, shape, or form due to issues with ownership, even though the creators have expressed a desire to see it return. Maybe the series continued in an alternate universe. Okay, would you shut up? Like, you're really starting to get on my nerves. Yeah, screw this. I'm out of here. Hey, wait a second, you can't leave. Hey, you can't leave! Bye. This is awkward. Shut up. Let me just move on and get to my least favorite episode, because this is just ridiculous. Ooh, can I do least favorite? I want to do least favorite. Fine. Jesus. This is harder than I thought it would be. I mean, I like every episode in this series. Just pick one. Okay, alright. My least favorite episode would be, Escape to Beer Mountain, A Rope of Sand. In this episode, JFK is having a party at his house, and Abe wants to be invited so that he can make a move on Cleopatra. However, he can only go to the party if he brings beer. Meanwhile, in an effort to garner Abe's attention, Joan starts a teen crisis hotline. The reason why this is my least favorite episode is mostly just because it's establishing the characters and scenario, so it doesn't have as much time to include the hilarious humor the rest of the series boasts. I still like this episode quite a lot, it's just a little more simplistic than the others. Can I? No. But you always get to- I said no, okay? Alright, you gotta go! Oh, but I don't know how I got here in the first place, so I don't know how I'm supposed to go. Alright, fine, I'll do it myself. Well, now that those bastards are out of the way, I can finally say that my favorite episode is A Room of One's Clone, The Pie of the Storm. In this episode, storms a-brewin'. And by that I mean Joan's house is burnt down, and she's forced to take up residence with Cleopatra, her most hated enemy. As conflict starts to spread all throughout the city, Abe takes it upon himself to mediate the conflicts as his clone father once did. Also, Principal Scudworth gets a robot dog called Cybo-Pooch, which makes Mr. B jealous and suspicious. The reason I hold this episode above the rest is just because it is the finest example of all the show's greatest strengths. It has some of the best humor, a great premise, some good character development, and is just 22 minutes of pure enjoyment. Clone High is a rare gem indeed, and has a spark of brilliance that belies its simplistic exterior. It's a shame that it had to come to such an abrupt and disappointing halt. But you know, that's just the way it goes sometimes. And for what we got, I'd definitely say it's a cut above the rest. Oh, man, I really gotta lay down in the explosions. I give Clone High 4.5 eyes out of 5. So, Clone High. Is it watchable? I'd say you owe it to yourself to watch this at least once. It's not impossible to find, so get out there and watch it, you dumbasses. Is it enjoyable? Well, yes indeed, fine sir, it is. Is it memorable? Well, the people who have watched it certainly hold it in their hearts, but in a general sense, it really did fade into obscurity pretty quickly after its cancellation until it became a cult hit. A revival has always been on the creators' minds in some form or another, but for now we'll just have to settle for what we got, and be damn grateful for it as well. Now, I have some bodies to bury. So, yeah, if the police ask where I am, just tell them I went on a journey to find myself. That's believable, right? Bye. Want to stay up to date with the latest EyeofSol news? You can follow me on Twitter as well as on Facebook at twitter.com/EyeofSol299 and facebook.com/EyeofSol. I update them every day, so if you want to check out news on the show as well as updates, just follow the links here. Hey everybody, thanks a bunch for watching my Clone High review. If you like this review, you can like and share it, or you could subscribe to my channel because that really does make me happy. I know I say that every time, but it really does. If you want to see the previous 2 Sol episodes, you can see the annotations playing on the video right now, or if you want to check out my various social media sites, you can see my links to my Twitch channel, Twitter page, and my Facebook fan page there on the screen for you, as well as in the description. If you have an idea for an animated series or movie you want me to comment on, you can leave me a message in the YouTube comments, on any one of my social media sites, or just let me know in any way you can think of to let me know what you want to see, and I will add it to my list. Okay? Thanks again for watching everybody, and I will see you next week for my 50th episode special. It's going to be a viewer requested special, so you're not going to want to miss it.